Hello folks, and welcome to my, VR setup guide right now for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's get straight into it. First of all, I want to show you my render scale slider. I've now upped that to 110%. That is because at the moment the scaling and the percentage of that is definitely off. So whether that's a bug or not, I don't know. But I find that with the HP Reverb G2, and this is mainly for that headset, if you want to have a setup video, by the way, of the Pimax or the Quest or the Vive, please let me know in the comments, because that's different altogether. But the render scale slider in the Reverb G2 I find works really well at 110%. And then if I go to OpenXR, which by the way I've got it on the taskbar here, which I recommend, make sure you're running the latest version with the Microsoft Store there. I have currently disabled motion reprojection and the latest preview runtime off, because at the moment with it on, with motion reprojection, because I do use it as well, depending on the flying I'm doing, I find it's too aggressive and it tries to pull the frames down to 22.5 frames and introduces stuttering and artifacts, because your computer probably can at least run about 30 frames per second or more, and that's what I've set this to. With these settings, with my 10900K RTX 3090, I can run this sim at 35-40 frames per second everywhere. That is London and all sorts of other places, as I've shown on other videos. So I just want to quickly say, guys, that so many YouTubers out there and forum posts are saying, how do I stop the micro stuttering? Is it an Nvidia problem? Is it this, that and the other? The only issue is because you're not running 90 frames per second. That's the point of motion reprojection, is that it provides synthetic frames in order to provide a perceived 90 frames per second. So that's the only way you're going to get fluid performance, guys, right now, because sims like this are not really ready for VR. Okay, they're not ready for VR, I'm sorry to say. So the only way to get smooth performance, even with the latest computers, is to use motion reprojection. That's what I do. I use it all the time and prefer it. But sometimes, say if I need better clarity in the cockpit, I'll disable it. I run this at 70% still, even with Sim Update 5. I've tried 100%. It works very well actually. So feel free to play around with that. But for me, I find 70% in OpenXR and 110 in the sim works really well. These are my other settings. I'll just highlight a few things that I've changed. Terrain vector data, I used to have that on medium, now I have it on high. Ultra kills frames a little bit. So does terrain level detail at the moment, which is bugged out anyway. Volumetric clouds, do not use ultra. I know you're tempted to because you think the clouds are degraded. They may be, but it still has a costly performance in VR. Keep them to high. Texture resolution, well, if you've got a decent graphics card, I'd recommend keeping that on ultra. Same with the AF as well, 16 times. Water waves, well, to be honest, I love the water in the sim, so I keep that on high. That's a personal preference. Shadow maps, again, I find is a bit of a killer for frames, so I leave them quite low down. But to be honest, I probably could bump them up a little bit, but I do find with motion reprojection, I get stutters with the shadows on high for some reason. Ambient Occlusion, I now can use it. I couldn't use it pre-Sim Update 5, pleased to tell you. So that's all on medium, along with reflections and light shafts. Light bloom is a bit bugged out at the moment. Try that on or off. I like it on because I like to see all the bloom from the lakes and the wing and all that kind of good stuff. I'm a bit of an eye candy whore, to be honest. But, you know, again, try it off. Glass cockpit refresh rate, there's been a lot of work going on under the hood. I think it has its own core now, so I'd recommend leaving that to high. Right, before we move on, I just want to point out that I do get a lot of comments and emails actually asking me to do a setup video for medium to lower spec computers. Well, I do have an 8600K 1080 Ti machine, and I have tried this Sim Update 5 now, so I'm going to show you in real time what I change in comparison to my 3090 10900K. First of all, the render scaling is the biggest heavy hitter, particularly for older GPUs, okay? That's where the 3090 excels, so I bring that right back to 75%. I like how we can go up in fives actually now, that's quite cool. So that's 75%. Terrain level, well, basically that's medium, that is medium, buildings, and also trees are low, and also grass and bushes are set to off, okay? Because I do find that particularly buildings and trees do kill the performance, weirdly, on my 8600K machine. Also, when it comes to terrain level detail, I put these at the default values of 100. Okay, volumetric clouds, I back that off to medium. Also, where is it? That's it, water waves, we put that down to medium. And ambient occlusion, I can actually put that on low because I love it so much, and with Sim Update 5 it definitely is working better, so that's one good thing. So I leave that on low, but light shafts, that is something that kills performance, take that off, as well as light bloom. Glass cockpit refresh rate, as I said before, works really well now. I leave that, I don't know why I put on, that's it, on high. So there we go. Okay, so there are my settings for the HP Reverb G2 in the sim. Let's now check out, you've seen my OpenXR settings. Let's have a look at the Windows Mixed Reality portal, and my G2 is sleeping because it's bored of my voice. Don't blame it. Now, this is really important, okay? At the moment, I've got it set to high 1080p because I often use the mirror for recording. But if you're not doing this YouTube-y thing, then I recommend that you make sure that's let Windows decide there, and then this is on 720p. That will give you about 2 to 3 frames per second more, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with VR, it really matters. Right, are you still with me? I hope so. I'm trying to make this as quick and as concise as possible. We're going to talk about Nvidia drivers now. I'm running, at the time of this recording, 471.41. I actually find that one works really well, and unless Nvidia have some sort of specific update for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm going to keep with it for quite a while. I think it really is a very nice driver. And in my 3D settings, okay, make sure that you have a customize section here, and I've left these default because I'm going to show you what I do change, and that is not many things actually, you'd be surprised to know. Power management mode, a lot of people say prefer maximum performance. I don't recommend that because that will induce stuttering, okay, it really does. Also, pre-rendered virtual reality frames, leave that at 1. That also causes lag and, again, stuttering. We don't like stuttering. But what I do change is the texture filtering. That has a big impact on performance. Change that to performance, okay, and click apply. I always hate how it's really laggy, this. All the software for the Nvidia, when you click apply, it's always laggy. Anyway, it's done it, so that's great. I think that's pretty much all I do for that these days, is keep that on performance. Get rid of that. Now, HAGs. Where's HAGs? If you don't know what I'm on about, I haven't gone crazy. It's a GPU performance thingy of Windows. I actually have this on, and I recommend that if you are running a higher spec PC with a 30 series graphics card, hardware accelerated scheduling is a thing. It really works, and it actually, because I've compared this with the Reverb G2 with it on and off, I find it's a lot smoother with it on. But again, it's a contentious issue. Please do mess around with it. But I think for anyone with a 10 or 20 series card, leave it off. Or if you're running a Pimax, definitely leave it off, okay? Game mode, I have that off as well. I just saw it a minute ago. It's disappeared. It's alright, put it in there, game mode. And I have that off simply because I don't notice any difference with it on, quite honestly. So I'd rather have something off if it's not making any difference. I don't want any other disruptions to my performance. Also, if you are running Nvidia Experience, this little icon here will rob you of about 5 to 6 frames per second or more, especially if it's recording in the background. So make sure before each flight you exit or even just get rid of it. If you're not doing any sort of video capturing, just exit it, and that will give you a big performance boost without a doubt. Honestly, it makes a huge difference to me because when I'm recording I do lose about 7 frames per second. So I think, guys, that is about it for my settings at the time of this recording. This is what I'm using. And in terms of basically the traffic and things like that, I always use real-time online. And you can see here, my traffic life is very low. I find this particular area here, which we don't often talk about, and I've noticed many YouTubers don't talk about this slider either. Worker density, ground traffic density, these things are really hefty in performance. Ships and ferries, I actually am a bit of a, I just love to see them, you know, so I don't mind having a trade-off there. But if you're not bothered about all that kind of stuff, just leave it off, honestly. But I do like to see live traffic floating around the skies. Right, anyway, I hope that's been of some help, guys, honestly. And if anything changes, please, you know, let me know in the comments. If you've got anything that works for you, then I'll gladly revisit this, but only once I've done some testing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for watching. At the time of recording, I should be on my holidays and somewhere in Ireland. And I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye for now.